Okay, so the inevitable has happened. Everton have been hit with a 10-point deduction for financial fair play breaches. This is under the sustainability side of financial fair play. They've been losing a lot of money over a long period of time. The last 5 years, they're averaging a loss of around 120 to 130 million in losses per year. Then you add in the stadium that they're building in the Docklands in Liverpool. Then you add all the managerial sackings where they've got to pay out managers for sacking them. They are losing money hand over fist. Now, a lot of the criticism was aimed at Bill Kenwright. A lot of the criticism, while Bill Kenwright was still alive, was aimed at him and the board. Moshiri has spent a lot of money. He's been badly advised on where to spend that money. Now, the stadium that they're building, Bill Kenwright's been trying to get a new stadium for Everton since forever, at least 25 years. He's been trying to get a move from Goodison Park to a new stadium. And it's now becoming a reality. It's costing them a lot of money. Now, with this points deduction, they now sit 19th with 4 points, equal on points with Burnley, who are last by virtue of goal difference. They've got a slightly better goal difference. Slightly is a nice way of putting it. They've got a better goal difference than Burnley. Burnley are having a horrific season. One win, they're dead last. What this now does is mean Sheffield United have gone to 18th, Luton to 17th, and Bournemouth to 16th. So it has now completely changed the bottom end of the Premier League table. And it makes it a very uphill struggle for Everton to actually avoid the drop. And I know we're only in November, but the two previous clubs to have points deductions got relegated the same season. That was Portsmouth when they were hit with a 9-point deduction for going to administration, famously about 15 years ago, and Middlesbrough for failure to fulfil a fixture. They got a 3-point deduction, which was enough because of their goal difference to relegate them. I think in the 96-97 season they went down. I believe it was the 96-97 season. I could be wrong there, but they were relegated with a 3-point deduction. Everton have got a 10-point deduction. Now, it could have been higher. It could have been 12 or 16 points, as some sources were reporting earlier in the week. The Premier League have decided on a 10-point deduction. Now, Everton said they are going to appeal this decision. So it may be overturned, it may not. We shall wait and see. But as things stand, they're 19th. They're mired in the relegation zone, and Sean Dyche now, even though they were playing reasonably well recently, that their form had improved and they were slowly edging themselves away from the bottom end of the table, has got a very, very tough task to motivate the players, get a siege mentality, and try and continue with the improvement on the field, at least, that the team had been showing. While they weren't setting the world on fire, they were doing enough to slowly work their way up the table. Now, they've been in a relegation scrap for the last 2 seasons, and that has ultimately cost them revenue because you, at the end of every season, you get given, your prize money for where you finish. And the board were calculating that they were aiming to finish mid-table or higher. So where Ancelotti had them, I think, 8th in the season, Ancelotti was manager a couple of years ago, they were aiming for around 12th to 8th. And what was happening was they were in a relegation fight. Rather than being mid-table aiming potentially for Europe, they were at the wrong end of the table, which impacted how much they got with Premier League prize money, which has also impacted on the side of financial fair play, where they are losing 125 million on average more than they're making in revenue. So that screwed up their threshold. The problem is the club hasn't been well run. They've spent money in the wrong areas. They've sacked a lot of managers, and the players that are currently there just aren't good enough. This club has not been successful since 1995. That was the last time they won a trophy. They've been to one FA Cup final since then, and they've not been regular performers in Europe, and they haven't been in Europe for several seasons now. So they've lost that European revenue. They've lost that cup run revenue where they go into a deep, long cup run, be it in the League Cup or the FA Cup. Only been to one final since 1995, so they're missing out on that potential revenue stream as well, with gate receipts and TV money and sponsorships. This is a club that has been badly run for for the best part of 3 decades, and a lot of that blame has to lie with the late Bill Kenwright and the board, but also Moshiri has been badly advised. Yes, he's been willing to spend the money, but he's not spent it in the right areas. Instead of just trying to redevelop Goodison Park, similar to what Liverpool have done at Anfield or Manchester United at Old Trafford, where they basically stayed in the same stadium and just improved in place, they've decided on the audacious and ambitious attempt to build a new stadium in the Docklands, which has had political ramifications. There's corruption allegations surrounding that and all sorts going on. There's been a criminal investigation. A worker has died on the site, and it's costing them a lot of money, which then adds to their financial fair play woes. Nice stadium that it's going to be. It does look the renderings look fantastic, but that could be a Championship or League One stadium by the time they get to play in it. Honestly, with how I see Everton, I can see Everton crashing down the divisions. Look what happened to Portsmouth after their administration. Look at what happened to Sheffield Wednesday, Leeds United. All these ex-Premier League clubs, although in Leeds' case they have been back to the Premier League since their lengthy spell outside, but now they're back outside the Premier League again. They all had their financial woes. They were all badly run. There was some criminality involved with Milan Mandrich and Portsmouth and Sheffield Wednesday. There's been allegations that some of these football clubs are basically used either to asset strip or for criminality. Now, there have been rumours surrounding the stadium build on the Docklands. It's cost Liverpool its UNESCO World Heritage status. There has been a criminal investigation into the goings-on surrounding the new stadium. So this could be a very, very troublesome period for Everton. They have said they're going to appeal. But what is also interesting is that we have the ongoing Man City investigation. There's now growing pressure for the Premier League to conclude their investigation into Man City. Now, we know that they are guilty of the charges they are facing. Sorry, City fans, UEFA found you guilty. You got off on a technicality. There is now growing pressure from the Premier League to conclude their investigation into Man City and punish them, because there's no time limitations technicality that Man City can get off here. And also there's growing pressure to potentially investigate Chelsea with the Todd Boehly spending spree, and also the aftermath of the Abramovich era. There are rumours circulating about some misdeeds there as well. But this is what happens when you have weak governance for a lengthy period of time. Because there was an article published, I can't remember which newspaper it was, a couple of years ago, during the European Super League fiasco. And it looked at all clubs from League Two to the Premier League and their spending and their losses. And this is what was stark. Was 70% of clubs from League Two to the Premier League are technically in breach of financial fair play and the sustainability rule of financial fair play. Basically, the profit over loss 135% rule is basically what it is. And it would be very, very embarrassing for the Football League and Premier League to sanction 70% of their clubs. It would be a real embarrassing moment. Now, football finances, the European Super League, the debt in football, the mismanagement of football, the corruption in football has been a talking point since the FIFA allegations exploded in 2015. So now with Everton being punished, there's growing pressure on the Premier League to investigate Chelsea and conclude their investigation into Man City. Now, it cannot be one rule for one club and one rule for another. Look what happened with Derby County. They were the club that were thrown under the bus for their financial issues a couple of seasons ago. They were the club that were the bad boys at that time. They were the club that were the fall guys for the sporting economy that is football being so broken. It is built upon debt, dodgy dealings, and weak governance. And now there's growing pressure on the Premier League, the FA, the Football League, UEFA, and the various other leagues to actually grow a bit of backbone and actually govern the game properly. Hopefully that comes of this. But on Everton's case, they're going to appeal. I don't think they have much of a leg to stand on, because it's very, very obvious they've been in breach of financial fair play and the sustainability rule side of financial fair play. And the other two clubs in Premier League history that have had points deductions have got relegated that same season. So it's going to be a tough season from here on out for Everton. But they're not the only club with financial issues. Reading are really up against it. They could cease to exist by season's end, if not before. So there's a lot hinging on what the footballing authorities do next. But there we go. Everton hit with the 10-point deduction. Place your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll have some more content for you very, very soon.